Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we are going to be checking out the Masters of the Universe Revelation Spikor from the Masterverse toy line. So since I went on an opening spree recently, I opened all of these figures up. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on the packaging. Do want to give a shout out to the awesome Eamon O'Donoghue for the incredible artwork that is on the window boxes for the Masterverse line. Let's jump in and take a look at the figure here. As you can see, this line is in the 7-inch scale. Spikor comes right up to the 7-inch mark, thanks to all those spikes on his urchin-like head here. So Spikor briefly appeared in the Revelation series. In fact, it wasn't even him. It was a whole shaping staff trick at the beginning. So I found it really interesting that we got Spikor in this line. However, he's a cool looking character and there hasn't been a lot from him over the years, so I can always see them wanting to throw this guy out there. I'm kind of glad they did. I've always liked Spikor. He's pretty fun. And honestly, this is a pretty good representation of the character. Looks a lot like the classic Spikor that we all know and love, though he is in that taller, more slender build that is seen in the Masterverse line so far. And I do think that is because they're trying to capture the animation. Though he does suffer from the tiny head syndrome with like these big legs and everything that we've seen in Masterverse so far that honestly I haven't been too keen on. Even though he's got all those spikes there, his head does still look a little disproportioned in my opinion. The other thing that's really weird is just kind of some of the cuts. Like there's a big hunk, it looks like missing out of the bicep because of the cut for the articulation in these figures, and you can really see that on any of these guys that have like the bare arms like this, and I can't stop looking at it. Like I see it as soon as I look at these guys. So yeah, I don't know. Honestly, Masterverse hasn't been my favorite interpretation of Masters of the Universe in action figure form so far, but I totally understand if this is something more up your alley if you're somebody who wants all of this added articulation. So, you know, to each their own. All in all, I do like the look of this one. I think he's pretty nice looking. The colors all look really good with the dark purple on the head and the armor, the lighter purple for the arms, the black. I love the two-tone belt there, and the paint looks nice and clean on this guy. I will say they did the thing like they did in the Classics line where they made the spikes on his torso more like an armor. You can see it's actually an armor piece that's over just like the standard torso there, and unfortunately it doesn't even fasten very good on mine. Like it's very loose. Like even when I clip it, it's real easy to pull off there. So I kind of prefer it more like on the vintage toy where the spikes were not removable. It was like part of his torso. I always just assumed since his head was spiky, his body was also spiky, not that he was wearing armor. So that is my preference. You'll also notice that he has two normal hands. Now he did appear in the original Filmation cartoon like that with two normal hands, and we do have swaps. So you can give him two gripping hands or two closed fists. And it's easy to do that just by popping those hands right there out of the wrist socket. You can plug a new hand in its place, or you could do the better thing and you can give him his trident, just like on the vintage action figures. So this is a bit of a new design for it, but it does have the red base portion here. It just plugs right in the same wrist joint. And then we've got just kind of molded in a gray plastic, the little spikes there, the trident. It does make his arm longer, but the vintage toy was just like that. So this is definitely my preferred way of displaying Spikor. So let's go ahead and break down the articulation. If you've seen any of the other basic figures, you know what you're getting here. Ball joint on the head so it can roll around, it can look left and right. The arms can go outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the bicep, double joint at the elbow there, swivel at the wrist. If you've got the hands in place, you've also got the hinge joint at the wrist. There is a ball joint in the midsection of the torso there, but then you can also swivel that way side to side. Got those ball-like hips there, outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the thigh. Double joints at the knees, which are very tight, especially on the top portion, but it is a double jointed knee. Swivels at that boot cut, and then the ankles have the hinge so they can go forwards, backwards, as well as rock side to side. Articulation does feel a little loose on this guy, but not as bad as it is on some of the Masterverse figures. And all in all, you should be able to get some nice poses out of this guy. He balances fine. He stands nice and solid. So the only other accessory he comes with, aside from the interchangeable hands and the trident, is his spiked mace accessory, done in a nice metallic orange. It is beautiful. I actually really like it. It's a nice, sturdy accessory. Looks a lot like what the vintage one came with, so really kind of rounds out that nice classic Spikor look for you. All right, guys. It's comparison time. So we've only had a very small handful of Spikors over the years. So here's the new one standing alongside the vintage Spikor action figure and the Masters of the Universe Classic Spikor figure. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the brand new Masters of the Universe Masterverse Spikor action figure based on his appearance in the Revelation animated series. It's a nice figure, all in all. I do actually like this one quite a bit. I still have my minor gripes with the proportions on the Masterverse line as a whole, but Spikor is a really cool character. I've always really liked his look, and I think this is a really cool translation of that character. So I believe Spikor was part of Wave 2 of Masterverse. These are still kind of floating around stores right now. I ordered mine through Big Bad Toy Store. So happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.